Hey guys, it's Vince with Green Joe Coffee here, and today what I want to do is go over some basic coffee permitting questions. So permitting is an interesting thing because there's no federal permit. Let me just throw that at you, okay? It goes state by state, and a lot of times it'll dig down into the county and very much so even down into the city, the local municipality level. And so, there's different permits for different cities. That's basically what it comes down to. Ultimately, if you're looking into this, you got to look into your own city. We've been working on developing a cheat sheet for this, but this stuff takes time, and we don't expect to see that up for another 30, 60 days. So in the meantime, I wanted to cover how to permit your food truck or your coffee truck. Very often, food trucks and coffee trucks will run parallel when it comes to the permitting processes. A lot of municipalities will look at coffee trucks as another form of a food truck, and that's perfectly fine. There are exceptions to that rule. I've done some consultations where people didn't need things like commissary kitchens, and they were just considered beverage carts, or they fell into like the hot dog cart type of permitting. Now, ultimately, in order to find that out, you just got to call up your inspector. And how you would do that is you dig up your phone book or Google your city hall, and in your city hall they're going to have the health department. And then you call up the health department and you ask for the inspector, either by the region or by the food truck. Some health inspectors are dedicated to food trucks, some health inspectors are dedicated to regions, so it just kind of depends on your city. Talk to that secretary, and he or she will let you know from there what you need to do. As far as getting a hold of a health inspector and finding out, what type of, classification a coffee truck would run into. They're going to ask you for things like menu, and the specific thing that they're going to ask is, the beverage is done at point of sale, so whenever you purchase the beverage, you make the espresso there. You're not making it back at a kitchen. But they're most likely what they'll want to know about is your menu as far as food. And so there's prepackaged food, which is done at a commissary kitchen or that you cater. You buy it from someone else, and then you wholesale it. Essentially, you're the wholesaler. You retail it to your audience. So there's that type of permitting, and then there's permitting where you're making the food on site. And so that's going to be much more in depth. Typically, whenever you make food on site, you're going to have things like, you're going to be propane powered or electric powered. So you'll have to have things like grease traps, and once you have, not grease traps, but grease hoods, that's going to put you into a different type of fire code because of the grease traps, because of grease fires. And so anytime you're going to be doing cooking on your truck, you're now stepping into the food truck arena instead of the coffee truck arena. That's where you'll definitely get a separation between food truck and coffee truck. However, you may or may not be able to skate by stating that the coffee is made on site. And most health departments will let that slide because, my local mechanic gives out coffee at his shop. You know what I mean? So a lot of health departments will just let that one slide. The espresso machine they'll get a little finicky with because of the milk that's involved. So some of those health inspectors will want you to get permitted like a food truck because of the espresso machine. Some of them won't. It just depends on your inspector. But once you bring that grease into it, then you're definitely going into the food truck permitting process. So I elected to not do grease or cooking on board. You could do maybe a panini. You get that very commonly, is that people will do a panini sandwich. They'll do these like English muffin sandwich where they're just using electricity to power the panini press. So if that's something you're interested in, then talk to your inspector about it. But all those are basically all those are different ways of getting processed or permitted, so to speak. Sweet. Just want a cup of coffee. So what I poured today. So this morning I poured. This is a 1-to-14 ratio of pour over, and what do I got? I got a is a Colombian right now is what I did some pour over. It's pretty good. It's smooth, little light and fruity for me, but whatever. It's it's fresh, it's local, it's fun. So let's get back into this permitting process. So basically, the first thing you need to do is you need to do just purely opening up a business, not even getting into the food truck aspect. You have to open up a business first. So what do you need to open up a business? Well, you need to pay your taxes. The tax man's going to come from you, and you go, okay, where's the tax man coming from? You got your federal tax man, you got your state and county tax man, and then you got your local city. And you're going to have to register your business with all three of those, okay? So what type of business are you going to register? Now, the easiest one to do is sole proprietorship. But here's the thing about sole proprietorship is there's double taxation, number one, and full liability. What I mean by that is, slip and falls, food poisoning, any of that stuff that happens on your food truck, you got your insurance policy, but in the event that goes to court or your insurance policy does not cover it because you're being cheap and you just wanted to get, a slim insurance policy because you're running on low capital, blah, 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 what ends up happening is they take your house. So, but it's like most of the time it costs like $30 to start a business with that thing. So it's it's got a lure. It's, there's definitely some beautiful bait to paying $30, walking in and walking out with a business permit. The other type of businesses are partnerships and LLCs. All right, let me give you my 2 cents because I got your attention now, so I'm going to give you my 2 cents while I got it. I think the way to go is an LLC. And that's the way I think the way to go is. However, and again, I'm not a CPA. I'm not anything. I'm a guy making a YouTube video. Okay, so don't double check this stuff. This is what I did is I put like, I can't remember the keywords, but I put like tax hacks or like best ways to save tax for a small business. Best tax strategy for a small business. I put something like that into Google. And this is in multiple sources. Google told me that the best thing to do is to open up a small business that is a LLC, single owner LLC, and what you do is you elect to file as a small business corporation. So you're still an LLC, but you fill out this piece of paper, you send it into the IRS within 30 days of opening up your business, and they allow you to file your business as an LLC or as a small corporation and an LLC. What that means is, so if you file LLC at the state level, the federal government doesn't give a damn about that. As far as they're concerned, you're still a sole proprietor, and they're still going to hit you with double taxation. So while your LLC is nice, and at the state level it removes you from liability as far as like lawsuits and that type of stuff, it does not remove your tax liability, and you got to kind of keep those two things in mind. So you got a tax liability, and then of course you have an insurance liability. We'll just call it that, slip and fall insurance liability. Sole proprietorship, the $30 easy one, doesn't cover either of those. You get double taxation at the federal level, and you're liable if you have a slip and fall on your property. So sole proprietor is cheap and easy, but it gives you no protection. Okay, so LLC is the next step up. It gives you protection on slip and falls. It removes you from your business. Now you are a CEO of a business as opposed to being the owner of the business. And so if something happens within the business, then the business's assets are at jeopardy, not your personal car, not your personal house. It's all the business assets. So that's the LLC. But at the federal level, it's they don't care that it's an LLC. They're still going to tax you at sole proprietorship. So you can elect to put in your taxes as a small business corporation and an S corp. And being an S corp, two things happen. One, only single taxation now. And now you can start playing with things like dividends, and you can, you pay yourself a wage, and the federal government requires, a reasonable wage. And so you can decide whether or not that's barista or coffee shop manager, but you pay yourself a wage, you pull out taxes, you pay yourself, you tax yourself just like you were an employee. And then at the end of the year, your taxes or your profit is under a different tax bracket. And so it can save you a significant amount of money. Easy numbers here, right? My first business, I did over my first year in coffee trucking, I did over 100K. And so just even if you save 10% on 100K, that's $10,000 in your pocket. That's good money, right? So that's the one I like. But again, I'm not a CPA, not an attorney. I'm not, again, I'm a guy on YouTube. Do your own research. Cool? All right, so then there's partnerships. Man, here's the thing, dude. I've been in a few different partnerships. I have not seen one go good yet. I have. No, I have. I've seen partnerships go good. They're so rare. They're so rare. So, partnerships require two things: mutual respect and good communication. I get that from my marriage. So if you don't have those two right out of the gate, don't even look into it. So good communication, what you need to communicate is exit strategies. You also need to communicate how you're going to deal with problems. Kind of think of your partnership as almost like a custody battle for your business. And when you take that mindset and you apply it to your business and your partnership, I think what you'll do is you'll come up with some memorandums, some LOAs, letters of agreements, that you'll say, okay, in the event that this, and this happens, we're going to do this. We're not going to take it to court. We're going to go through mediation first, blah, 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 right? And so, you just got to have solid communication for partnerships, and that includes investors, really getting an understanding on what the investor wants. Are they just in it to turn a buck? Are they trying to give you 2 cents? Are they trying to guide you? Is this like an angel investor? That stuff needs to be communicated way before. All those letters of agreements and memorandums, all those need to be done before you even go down to file your business, right? Just get that stuff settled first, work out the fine print, get it notarized, and then go start a business, right? All right, so that's all you get for business permits. So most of that stuff, EIN can be done online. You do that, you set up an EIN number. You also set up some stuff for workers to pay taxes. So you knock all that out in the same day, and literally it's 1 day's work. My state allows me to apply for an LLC online. The last business I went in, applied for an LLC online, and I literally within 24 hours had an LLC and an EIN number done. I never went into a building. It was just all completely done online. They make it super easy to take your money these days. So, but you may not have that option. So you may have to go down to your, local state. My state, and my county are put together. And so when we fill out that paperwork, they knock it all out at once. Hey, this is the state tax. Here's Bernalillo County tax. And then, of course, I take all that information. I take my federal EIN number. I take my state, they call it CRS number. Once you have those two numbers, you take that down and you get a business permit. And now you are legally allowed to operate business within your city. Now, you still haven't even opened up a truck. You're just allowed to open up business now. So once you get that done, and like I said, for me in my state, online, 24 hours, done, right? It was, to be honest, the first time I did it, it was more intimidating than it really looked, because I had never done this stuff before. So it's like, oh man, this is so big. But now that I've gone through this process multiple times, it's super easy. There's nothing to worry about. And the people there care, man. A lot of these guys are really trying to help small business start. So don't fret. Just go in there, be humble, right? That's always my motto, hungry and humble. And just be like, hey man, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. Any advice, and they'll guide you through the whole process. Super easy. All right, so now you got yourself a business permit. From there, if you have a trailer or a truck, you need to get that registered. You'll also need insurance on that. And if you're looking on getting insurance for the truck or the trailer, most likely it's going to be commercial insurance. You're going to find a real hard time with these guys. A lot of these guys will not insure your equipment. So for me, for my espresso machine, because that was the most expensive piece of equipment, I literally put a GPS into it. If it ever got stolen, then I would just GPS track it. Never did, thank goodness. But that's what I did for my espresso machine. All the other stuff, I would just have to take a hit. But most of these places, what they will do is they'll insure your trailer for the cost of the trailer, and they'll insure your truck for the cost of the truck. So you go down and you get it, you take it down to your local MVD, you get it switched over, the title switched in your name, registered in your name, and you get it so that you can operate your vehicle just like you normally would for a car. Call up your local insurance. Right now I'm with State Farm. And actually I was with Geico for years, and a friend of mine went to a State Farm, and they were like, hey, we're looking for quotes, anybody want to do a quote? I said, sure, I'll do a quote. And Geico was charging me $110 a month, and State Farm is charging me $63, almost literally in half. So I was pretty surprised by that. So check out your local State Farm. I don't know, who would have known? And I've had all kinds of insurance throughout the years. For my liability insurance, I did Flip. I've done Progressive. Progressive to me was a nightmare. I did not like that company. Geico was pretty easy to work with. I've done State Farm. That's it. I haven't looked into any other groups, Limu or Liberty Mutual, anything like that. So I don't know those groups. So look around, shop around, spend an afternoon shopping for insurance. All right, so some states require a food handler. And a food handler permit is basically a class that you have to take. It's a couple $100 most of the time. They're held at like community centers, commercial kitchens, community colleges, just different places. Your inspector will let you know where your food handling permit is classes can be taken at. It's almost like if you want to serve alcohol, you got to go get an alcohol serving permit. It's kind of the same concept. You go and you take this class, and they tell you, wash your hands and these type of things. And so they typically require these. The health will require your food handler's permit. Any of your employees will have to go through a food handler's permit. So you might have to do that. Again, it's your health inspector that's going to let you know on whether or not that's what you need to do. All right, so once you go through your food handling permit, your truck is registered and it's been built out, then, from there, the next step is going to be your health department, the big health department. I mean, that's probably what we have the most stress about. That's what I stressed out about the most when I first got started. I overdid it when I did mine. So I was in one of those states where coffee is slightly separated from food, and I got permitted for an entire food truck. Now, that's great because then I could cook food if I wanted to, but I did a lot more work than I had to. So when you call up your health inspector, just take that hour and just find out what are you looking for a coffee truck that's serving pre-packaged food, and just find out what he wants. He's going to want stuff like hot standing, maintaining hot food hot. So 140 is the bare minimum. It has to be above that. Or cold standing, they're going to want 34 degrees in your refrigerator, just slightly above freezing temperature. So there's a range of safe temperatures for food that's hot. There's a range for safe temperature for food that's cold. They're going to want to verify that your hot food is hot and that your cold food is cold. For example, your burritos that you're serving are maintained at a hot temperature. For us, we did that in a crock pot. That worked fine. Your cold, your milk is going to be temperature. So, a lot of times I would get inspected at festivals, and at festivals I'm bringing coolers after coolers. I'm probably, my big festivals, I'd need 20 gallons of milk, and those are those huge igloo coolers, and I got 3 or 4 of those because I have almond milks. So I would have to pack that stuff full of ice so that when they came along with their little laser thermometer, that all my milk was below the temperature it needed to. I would shoot for about 32 to 34 degrees, very close to freezing temperature. So, hot food hot, cold food cold. They're going to look for your hand washing station. They're going to look at how does your employees wash their hands, are there towels, are there soap specifically dedicated to your hand washing sink. They'll look at your triple sinks. If that's required, again, you got to ask them about that. They'll look at your triple sinks. They'll test your sanitization buckets. to make sure that your sanitizer, one, is the right type of sanitizer. We use bleach because of its, how universal it is and how cheap it is. And then, has to be the right parts per million. We just use these like color strips. And so I would just fill up all the sinks. I would take my red sanitization bucket once my sink's full, and I would pull from my sink directly. And then that's where my rags went for wiping the counter. It was the same sanitization water that my sinks were, so I knew that it was the exact amount of parts per million. 50 ppm is usually what we were shooting for. So again, the local health inspector will tell you what you need. So they're going to inspect all those things. They might go through and make sure you got areas to clean underneath your machines, that you don't have to lift them, that an employee can just wipe real quick. They might check out your steam wand and your, portafilter, where your drying racks are. They don't like water to sit, so they're just looking for, is water going to puddle anywhere? Those type of things. So that's the big thing to look at. After your health department, you'll probably have to get a fire inspection. So with the fire inspection, what are they looking at? They're looking at, one, your extinguishers. Do your extinguishers match your product? So to speak, do you have grease extinguishers? Do you have, there's different levels of commercial extinguishers, and so they'll tell you, they'll have like a pamphlet usually, or you can call it the fire inspector, and they'll say, yeah, you need this. On my truck, I needed 2 different sets. I needed one type of type of fire extinguisher. It was a general fire extinguisher for the truck itself, and then I had to have a second one specifically for the generator because of the gasoline fire. So they'll look at that. They'll also look at your generator and make sure it's safe. No kid's going to come up to it and touch a hot muffler. Sometimes they require a fence around it. Sometimes they require it to be elevated. Sometimes they require cones. You just got to talk to your health inspector, not your health, your fire inspector, and he'll tell you what you want to do with your generator. No smoking signs. They'll want things like that. Make sure your no smoking sign is out front. Make sure you have one, inside or something like that. And so they just want to make sure that, in the event a fire is started, people can evacuate the building easily, readily, and that a fire extinguisher is available. So for example, if you have, if your espresso machine, if you only have one door in your trailer and your espresso machine is close to the door, then, is a person able to exit out of a window? Do they have a fire extinguisher readily available in the event that your espresso machine catches fire or whatever, So those are the type of things that you need to look at. They're going to look at like things like your extension cords, make sure there's no frays, all that stuff. So that's the other department that you'll need. And that's for the most part, that's really what you have to look at. I didn't have my electricity inspected. I did not have my plumbing inspected. We did plumbing fully up to code, and no one at any time ever looked to see if there were P-traps and slants and any of that stuff. Now, when I did my coffee shop, it was the exact opposite. Man, they went through with a fine comb. But for both my trucks, no one ever, and I went above and beyond code. No one cared. But there's different examples. LA is tough. New York is tough, right? So these places, you got to get code to the exact, down to the I, to the T. Make sure it's crossed, make sure that I is dotted, because those guys are really tough. Other things that you have to consider is whether or not your county, your state, your city requires you to have a commissary kitchen. This is a type of kitchen that's a permanent location that you can kind of come in and out of in order to drop off your gray water, fill up your fresh water, plug in. Some of them want you to, prepare the food there. There's different ways to do that. And I have videos on how to find commissary kitchens, so you can scour through my YouTube. That's also in my ebook. So, all right. So there's a video on permitting. Gosh, I'm plus 20 minutes into this video, but it needed to happen, man. There's a lot of information there. It's a daunting process in the beginning, but to be honest with you, it's more intimidating than it actually really is. The biggest word of advice I can give you is, one, Google that business stuff find out what you think about that, the LLC and the small business course. See if I'm on track with that, if you agree with that, if that fits your business model. 2, call up your health inspector before you even touch anything. Just get them on the phone for an hour, take them out to lunch, whatever you need to do, but pick that guy's ear and find out exactly what he wants out of your truck. And that's going to save you a lot of headache. I think that's it. I mean, those are 2 big pieces of advice. My name is Vincent. I run Green Joe Coffee Truck, and we have a business online that this is what I do. I do consultations with coffee truckers and help them get on the track. My consultation's $100 an hour. I mean, but it will save you some money. Yeah, I wish I had someone, because I would have saved thousands of dollars. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes, and so I'm here trying to help you, prevent you from making a lot of mistakes. Number 2, I sell an ebook, and I just direct people to the ebook these days. You know, if you have questions, that ebook covers so much information. It's 68 pages. It's no joke. I put a lot of time and effort into that book, and so it answers the vast majority of questions. And then 2, I got a business plan. So if you're low on capital but your credit's decent, you want to basically get started on this, you can do financing, and that's what the business plan's for. And so it's 2 things. It's made to teach you how to run a coffee truck business. It's a plan for business. And then it helps with financing, how to do things like marketing projection, financial projections, all that fancy stuff. I wrote that 3 years after doing a coffee truck business, so it's got a lot of info that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else, you know, so that's online as well. We're in the midst of making a barista course that is so fun. So we're working on that. It's a barista course for coffee truckers. It's not for coffee shoppers. It's for coffee truckers. How to run a truck, how to make, you know, for the truck. And it covers so much. It covers the food handling stuff. It covers, you know, customer service. It just everything I would want my employee to learn on the truck. So we're working on that. Still working on that coffee cart, man. We're still doing that. So slowly but surely, I'm building that thing out, and I'll make an ebook on how to build coffee carts, and you know, kind of go from there. Like, share, comment. You know, share's the big one. You know, like the like and comments. You know, they come and go, but the sharing is because they're often, what I found is that there are other baristas that need this information. They have no idea. You know, so throw that thing on your Facebook if you have it. You know, share it on your YouTube, whatever. If you have a coffee blog, throw it up there. That's going to be the biggest thing. My name is Vincent. I'm with Green Joe Coffee Truck. Later.